Developed as part of students' coursework, our community projects allow us to support small, emerging and underfunded local organisations to develop both capacity and resilience. We work with them to scope and refine their ideas for projects that range from designing to pricing, governance to marketing. Then we match them with students with relevant skills and interests. This initiative allows community organisations to get their projects developed while students developed their skills with real-world clients. The projects are a win-win for students and organisations.
My name's Danielle Fryday and I am the Hatch Taronga Accelerator Program Manager. Hatch is a program within the Taronga Conservation Society Australia, and our focus is on finding and supporting innovative ideas that can help address key conservation and environmental challenges.
Hi, my name's Madgen. I was a former basketball player, retired in March 2020. Last stop was in Melbourne. But I started working for Charity Bounce after about 6 months.
Well, my name is Marco Berti. I am a senior lecturer at UTS in UTS Business, and I'm in the management department.
My name is Jenny Lee, and I studied a Bachelor of Design in Viscom for 3 years. This is my final year, and the Shopfront project that I worked on was The Grove.
My name is Frazier Evans. I'm currently studying a Bachelor in Visual Communications. I was working with Shire, who works in the Sutherland Shire for basically plastic-free community and economy involvement and stuff like that.
My name is Christina Ho. I am an Associate Professor in Social and Political Sciences here at UTS, and for many years I've been coordinating student placements for our degree, Social and Political Sciences, and that's where we send students to an external organisation for a semester, and they do social research on behalf of that organisation. So Shopfront has been fantastic in helping us to place these students with community organisations for many, many years.
The process, the actual concrete, the nuts and bolts of a process of engaging with Shopfront, well, typically it starts a couple of months before the beginning of the semester, when we are organizing a first meeting with the Shopfront representatives, in which we start considering possible organizations that can be engaged.
So my experience with Shopfront has been fantastic, and in terms of how that's played out, I initially attended an information session online, which was really valuable to understand more about the program, what would be required from our side, as well as from the UTS side. I then put in an application and spoke with one of the Shopfront team to provide more information about what we were looking for and where alignment might fit between our project and the opportunities within the university.
Once Shopfront has received the applications and they've decided which ones might be suitable for our students, then I will have a meeting with Shopfront and just go over some of the details. We meet with a lot of the workplace supervisors. I introduce them to the kinds of skills that our students have and their interests, and we sort of tweak the project descriptions a little bit to make them just as suitable as possible for the students.
Then as we get closer and closer, well, as we start the subject, typically there will be a Shopfront representative who is always at your disposal if you have any issues or problem. But then, especially on the first day, the first lecture, introductory lecture that is available to be with the lecturer for describing the process and describing the program to students, and also giving some background information on Shopfront. Then there will be another meeting a couple of weeks after, in which the client organization is actually introduced to the student, and finally 3 weeks down the track a meeting in which the students, after they have already started gathering some background information, have the opportunity of actually meeting representatives from the client organization and asking them questions. So that's the first step in which they students start actually working on the organization, and typically the outcome, the deliverable of this first step for the students will be to prepare a proposal for the organization. And then Of course, we have several weeks in which students are working on the organization, and again, Shopfront has a fundamental role in facilitating the connections between students and the organization. And then, last but not least, you have at the end of each subject in which students are reporting back to the client organization the result of their consulting projects, and also in this case, Shopfront takes a fundamental role in organizing the meeting, in facilitating the interactions, and also in making sure that the organization can receive all the reports from the different student teams and providing them a comprehensive package of information.
Working with a real life client, I've never done it before, so I kind of went into it kind of really excited but also kind of nervous.
I learned quite early on for not-for-profits that they really do appreciate pretty much every sort of help they get. Anything that comes from the community, people they're working with, even if it's paid for by them, really, really helps what they're doing.
Not-for-profit organizations and community organizations are even more complex than, say, for-profit organizations. So in that regard, we are killing two birds with one stone. We are helping grassroots organizations, community organizations to develop and doing something good for our society, and at the same time offering our students a much better learning opportunity.
So students really can match up their personal interests with the placement that they have the opportunity to go to, and we wouldn't be able to do that without Shopfront, because obviously Shopfront has access to so many different kinds of sometimes they're tiny little organizations that I don't know about, like I've been introduced to so many organizations that I had no idea existed.
I think it's very important to work with a community, have a community experience, because I feel like you said, we do work hypothetically and we work for ourselves only in this design degree. So this kind of allows us to kind of step out of our comfort zone, and it prepares us for the real world. I think that's the main thing. In our final year, I think subjects like this really, allows us to kind of hone in our skills that we need to kind of transfer as we kind of go into the industry and the workforce as well.
And engaging with real life problems, which, by the way, I think is one of the distinctive features of UTS as an organization which is very much practice oriented, does not mean that we have to become a sort of a vocational training focused university. On the contrary, I think that the purpose of a university is to develop the capacity of people to think, to reflect, and to come up with innovative solutions. But to do that properly, we need to learn how to engage with complexity. And there is nothing best as a way to engage with complexity than to deal with real, practical problems.
Having real life client experience is pretty invaluable compared to anything else we've done in the degree, because the degree can teach you how to create, how to make something beautiful, but it can't really teach you how to be a part of a workforce and then to create something that applies to a client in a way that would work in a real life setting.
So we were able to utilise Shopfront not just for what I came in for, which was the Starting Five, the monthly giving program. I thought if we could just get some traction out of this program, that would be fantastic. But instead, I had seven teams, 7 groups from the class that all engaged in different areas. So there was post COVID operations, there was Google Ad grants, there was obviously Starting Five. There was social media engagement, donor retention. So it was just a great mix of different projects, and I learnt so much about not only the organisation but the sector, even more about our participants.
I think there's a growing awareness that in some industries there's some kind of exploitation of students who are doing voluntary internships, and sometimes that's become quite a scandal in some industries, that students are doing a lot of unpaid work over many weeks or months, sometimes years in some industries. And there are some questions about whether, there's unethical practices going on. I think that's why it's so important for when students are going to do unpaid work that they get adequate recognition for that. And at UTS, it's very easy to build that into the degree structure by having subjects where students are getting course credit. I would not be comfortable sending students out to do unpaid work for lengthy periods of time without them getting anything in return.
I would definitely recommend that other subjects do include this kind of community-based, like talking with real-life client kind of experiences, because like I said, it was in our final year, and I think kind of having that maybe in our second year would have been great as well, because like I said, no one had this experience before in any of our subjects, so it was quite a different one, and it was also like a group project for the whole thing. So kind of having that experience before, and like working with a team, working with deadlines, working with someone that's going to use your designs, not hypothetically but for the real thing, would have been great. So I definitely 100% would push for the need for like the inclusion of this like kind of community-based, client-based projects in other subjects as well.
For me, as an educator, there is no scholarship which is not engaged. So engaged scholarship is absolutely the reason why I am doing this job. It offered a unique opportunity to engage with big social problems.
The projects were so in-depth, the detail was amazing, and the biggest thing that I really felt was the passion from the UTS students to really want to do their best and to genuinely want to help Charity Bounce and their participants.
One of the groups that I spoke with, they did actually comment how much they enjoyed the project because it was real world focused, and also just that opportunity to apply their skills and their learning to something that actually had a tangible outcome, I guess, rather than a theoretical case study.
I feel that regardless of what degree you're studying or what faculty you work in, your professionalism will be enhanced by having an exposure to people who are different from you, and especially people who are on the margins of society who may have experienced discrimination or some kind of marginalization in our society. It can only make you a better professional, whether you're in science and engineering or whether you're in business or law, in health. To have that much broader understanding of all kinds of people in our society can only make you a better professional. So I think there's a role for this sort of program wherever you are at UTS.
If you want to make your subject more real and more engaged, in other words, if you want to do real work integrated learning, then Shopfront is your way to go.